Hannah Gabriel.
Who's
Just
next
like
that you want to cross paths with?
It's only right for me and Hannah Gabriel to meet up in the ring. I heard she did an interview where she said that she'd take me as a tune-up. And all right, I'll tune your ass up. All right, what's up? We're under the same banner. We're under the same promoter. Let's make it happen. I'm your mandatory. This is Hannah Gabriel's. So,
really?
I think she did an interview and she said that she would take me as a tune-up fight. I said, okay, send the contract. Let's get it. I'll tune your ass up, all right. Take me as a tune-up. Let's do it. Send the contract.
First thing I'm going to say is I like this energy. I like what I'm seeing here. I like the gamesmanship from Raquel. I've said it before, I'll say it again. It's a fantastic fight. Hannah Gabriel's in defense of her title, what is now the secondary title in the junior middleweight division. For those interested in what I mean by that, I'll leave the link to that video in the description box where we talked about this. Better still, Miller versus Gabriel's is a great fight. I'm not sure if it gets made. I'm not. As Raquel said, they're both on the same side of the street. They're both Lou DiBella entertainment fighters. The issue with that is that Lou DiBella, I'm not sure that he makes this fight. I'm not sure that he makes this fight unless this fight can land on a major platform. A Showtime, a DAZN, something along those lines. To make sure that this fight gets seen and that these guys, they get paid. Talked about this in a previous video. I will also leave the link to that video in the description box. How, a big outfit like a Top Rank, a big outfit like a Matchroom, they can afford to have their own fighters fight their own fighters. They got plenty of fighters to go around, and they've got a major platform to showcase those fighters' abilities. Whereas a Lou DiBella, he don't got a network deal with a Fox, with a Showtime, with a DAZN, with an ESPN. He don't got one of those deals. So it's a little different when you're a smaller outfit on the smaller end of the spectrum, and you're trying to make sure that you get your fighters paid. You want to keep your business afloat. In order to do that, you've got to go through, work with the bigger outfits that are out there. For this reason, I'm not sure that this fight gets made, although I'm all for it, and there's actually a precedence for it to happen. Raquel Miller's the WBA interim champion in the junior middleweight division, and Hannah Gabriel's, she is holding a title, albeit a secondary title, what is now a secondary title. There's a precedence for the fight to happen. I'm just not sure that it does. If it doesn't, Raquel needs a scalp. She needs a notoriable scalp from a solid fighter. And if Hannah Gabriel's can't be that fighter, hey, I'll take Miller versus Rice. Callie Rice.
It's a good fight, too.
Although, Miller versus Reese may face the same issues that Miller versus Gabriel's would face. That they're both under the same banner in what is a smaller outfit. For some reason, Lou doesn't want to make either of those fights. There is an alternative for Raquel.
What?
There is Patricia Bergult.
14-0, 3 KOs, hailing from out of Sweden.
Just so happens that last year, in November, Patricia locked horns with Hannah Rankin for what was the WBC interim title. Patricia won the fight.
Oh, she won the fight.
And in winning the fight, she became the mandatory challenger for the full title, the full-fledged WBC title. It's supposed to be the title, it's on the line in what is to be Shields versus DeCare, their unification match. If Lou doesn't want to make his girls fight his other girls, what he can do is see about having Raquel fight Patricia. See about having Raquel fight Patricia for interim status. Because one way or another, Raquel Miller, she's not going to be fighting for a full title in the very next fight.
She's not.
Whether it's against Hannah Gabriel's or Callie Reese, that wouldn't be a full-fledged world title fight. It wouldn't be. And if you don't want your girls fighting your other girls, what you can do is you get Raquel in there with Patricia. You get her in there with Patricia. And if she beats Patricia, she's still in line for a full-fledged title. The winner of Shields versus DeCare is going to be the undisputed junior middleweight champion. That's the way that cookie crumbles. That's the way that breaks down. And if Raquel Miller can become the WBC interim champion to the full-fledged WBC title, guess who's mandatory she'd become? Just hypothesize that Clarissa Shields has the DeCare fight. Maybe she wins that fight. Maybe she gets all the belts. And just hypothesize a little further that Raquel has that fight with Patricia and beats Patricia. That would make Raquel the mandatory challenger to one of Clarissa Shields' belts. Those two girls, they don't like each other. Clarissa don't like Raquel, and Raquel don't like Clarissa. This would thereby set the precedence for those two professional rivals to have their fight. And for Lou, this has got to be the end game anyway. This has got to be what he's building towards when it comes to his Giles. At 154 pounds, he wants those Giles to get a crack at Clarissa Shields. One of them has gotten a crack at her already. Maybe she gets a rematch, talking about Hannah Gabriel's. But essentially, Lou DiBella wouldn't have to worry about matching one of his Giles against one of his other Giles. If he pursues this avenue, you go through Patricia Bergoult to get to the winner of Shields versus DeCare.
Well, that's one solution.
If for some reason that can't materialize, that fight can't happen, there's always a fight with the former IBF champion Chris Namis, who's ranked right behind Raquel Miller in the WBA's rank standings. There are fights out there for Raquel, and I'm hoping that once boxing resumes, we get to see them. Moving on. Andre Ward suggests an interim fight for both Lopez and Lomachenko before their unification clash. I'm not in the position to tell top fighters what they should do. Ward noted to ESPN's Joe Tessitore during a recent installment of the network's State of Boxing series. We have to respect the opinion of each fighter. If Teofimo doesn't want to fight for his list of reasons for safety in front of an empty arena and just in front of individuals at home streaming the event, I respect it. That's good enough for him. On the other side of the equation is the suggestion that Lomachenko will prefer a stay-busy fight once the sport as a whole is able to resume, rather than go into such a fight on the heels of a lengthy layoff. The two-time Olympic gold medalist from the Ukraine and three-division titleist hasn't fought since scoring a 12-round win over Luke Campbell last August in England. Lopez is coming off a career-best victory, blasting out Richard Comey in 2 rounds. I understand Teofimo's stance on the Loma situation, notes Ward, who, from his own experience and also that of an observer and current boxing manager, offers his own free advice. For me personally, I would not. That's a step-up level fight. The biggest step-up he's ever faced, the biggest risk, the biggest money he's been handed. I'm not personally going into a fight of that magnitude under these circumstances. What I would push for after I've done my due diligence is a tune-up fight. In fact, I will take this a step further. I would ask for a tune-up fight alongside Lomachenko so that we could stay at the forefront of the public eye, so that when all is well, we are able to resume back to business as usual. Whatever that looks like. Now, people are clamoring for an event between these two, and it's a fight that the fans haven't forgotten about. This whole Lomachenko tune-up situation ahead of what's supposed to be the Lopez fight, it's taken on a life of its own, and I don't understand why, because a tune-up fight right now really does make a lot of sense. You gotta remember what Teofimo Lopez said. He says he won't have this fight without an audience. Cool, understandable. It's a big fight, big risks, big money.
I get it.
You want to get the most out of this thing that you can, win or lose, and if there's not an audience, if there's not a gate...
How can you?
But at the same time, if it's Teofimo Lopez himself who's saying that he won't fight Vasyl Lomachenko in the absence of an audience, if you're saying you're not going to fight this guy, you wouldn't fight this guy if it ain't no audience, okay, then you're basically saying you don't plan on fighting him anytime in the near future.
What?
The near future meaning the coming...
Months.
2, maybe 3 months?
That's right.
As far as big fights staged in front of big audiences, we don't know how long it's going to take before that kind of a fight, those kind of events, can be staged again. So in the near future, the immediate future, the coming weeks, the coming months...
This summer.
You must not plan on fighting this guy, because you're the one saying you won't fight this guy without an audience.
This might be the only kind of fights you can have this summer.
Fights without an audience, or fights with limited seating, with provisions in play.
Not full capacity.
Those might be the only kind of fights we see this summer. Maybe things go back to normal by the fall. Maybe you can start holding big fights again sometime around, I don't know, October, November, December. Maybe then. But for the immediate future, June, July, August, there's no guarantees you can start staging big fights that soon. And if you're saying you won't fight this guy unless there's an audience there, okay, that's basically saying you don't plan on fighting this guy in the near future. So if you don't, why not take a tune-up fight to keep the tools sharp? To remind people what you can do in the mean and between time.
I don't see why not.
You know, I have yet to see Vasyl Lomachenko himself, the fighter, make this suggestion. I have yet to have seen an interview or read an article that quotes Vasyl Lomachenko saying that he wants a tune-up ahead of this Teofimo Lopez fight. I don't know if you guys have seen something, but I know I haven't, and I've looked.
Haven't seen it.
The only source for this suggestion is Teofimo Lopez himself. That is what he was told. I'm not telling you Vasil did or didn't say this. I'm just saying that if he did, I didn't see him say it. As far as I know, this news came from Teofimo via the people over there at Top Rank. But in the event that the story checks out, in the event that Vasil Lomachenko actually does want a tune-up fight before facing Teofimo Lopez, I would ask you, can you blame him?
Think about it.
If the last time this guy was in action was August of last year,
9 months.
could be August of this year before it's safe to have a fight. Before it's safe to have a fight of any kind, and that's a year, folks.
A year layoff.
August of last year to August this year, that's a year's time. That's a year layoff.
That's what it is.
Oh, granted that for Teofimo, it wouldn't be a year layoff. Teofimo was last in action December 14th of last year. We count towards August, you're looking at roughly, 6, 7 months?
Yeah.
But for Loma, it would be a longer layoff than that.
It will have been a year.
I don't know, maybe that's the angle for some people. Maybe that's what they want. They want Lomachenko to have to shake off ring rust in the fight with Teofimo Lopez so that it can thereby hamper his ability to perform. Maybe that's why they're using this as a vehicle to criticize him.
That's it.
Even though it would make more sense to take a tune-up fight, given the circumstances. If it weren't for the COVID-19 pandemic, everything would have proceeded as planned. The COVID-19 pandemic, it changed things. It altered the schedule, so accommodations have to be made. But there are those out there who don't want those accommodations to be made. They would prefer that Vasil Lomachenko walk into a unification match coming off a year of inactivity. They want his ability to perform to be hampered. They don't want it to be an even playing field. What they want is for Vasil Lomachenko to be rusty enough that Teofimo can beat him. Because it really isn't ideal to walk into a unification match having not fought in 12 months.
That's not a good idea.
And they know that. That's why they're pushing for the fight to happen sooner than later with no tune-ups. That's why they're pushing for the fight to happen sooner than later, even though a fight of this magnitude,
A pay-per-view.
a fight to where you want the audience to fill up the arena to capacity, a fight where you want to sell it to people via pay-per-view, a fight that you really can't stage right now because large groups of people, they really shouldn't be around each other during a global pandemic, and people don't actually have the scratch to pay $80 for a pay-per-view. Not right now, and not in the near future. But that's why there are people out there pushing for this thing to happen sooner than later.
No tune-ups.
Even though it makes no sense. That makes no sense, which is in keeping with the irrational hatred that some people have towards Vasil Lomachenko for some reason, one reason or another. This makes no sense, like that makes no sense. Coincidence? I think not. Just in keeping with the theme of lightweight news, so to speak, Gervonta Davis says he'll break down Vasil Lomachenko in 9 or 10 rounds.
Really?
Like you did Yuriorkis Gamboa, right?
Right.
Oh, wait. He was quoted as saying, "I see myself breaking him down in the 9th or 10th round."
Talk about deluded.
I don't see anyone doing that. I can actually fight, and I have skills. A lot of people don't use their heads and use head movement. They just try to use their feet to get away. A lot of people don't have intelligence in the ring. A lot of people headhunt a lot. That's not how to break an opponent down or attack the body or even the arms. You can have power in the sport, and you're okay in the sport. If you have skills, you can be a top guy. Andre Ward and Floyd were smart. That's why they lasted so long in the sport without taking punishment. Yeah. I do this, I do that. I do everything but actually fight the fucking guy.
Right.
I'd rather sit around talking about it while I challenge super featherweights, even though I myself am campaigning as a lightweight. Look, I don't even bother to think about this fight in realistic terms. Thus, there's no need for a breakdown. There's no need to break down a fight that, in all likelihood, won't happen. Gervonta Davis's biggest challenge, at least what will be his biggest challenge in recent memory, isn't going to be Leo Santa Cruz. He's a super featherweight. His biggest challenge, recent memory, is going to be the scale, and whether or not he can actually make 130 pounds fighting fit. As far as fighting a Lomachenko, a Haney, a Lopez, even a Campbell, a Mendy, a To-Go.
Forget it.
Any one of these guys in his own fucking weight class, don't hold your breath.
Forget it.
The fact that Gervonta Davis is allowed to make these kinds of statements openly and not be immediately pelted by popcorn, peanuts, and booze from both the boxing community and the boxing pundits at large. The fact that he's allowed to do this
Openly.
is a testament to the level of mediocrity that some people out there celebrate in this fighter. Because that's what it is. It's mediocrity. You want people to believe that you can stop a guy
In his prime.
who you've actively been avoiding for, 2-3 years now,
Just about.
when you couldn't stop a guy that was on one leg. An over-the-hill guy. A guy who's been knocked down more times than I can count. A guy who I even thought you'd be able to get out of there quick. Bear in mind, I don't have a very high opinion of Gervonta Davis, and even I thought he's going to go home early against Gamboa. Needless to say, I was wrong. The sheer ridiculousness of a statement like this, coming from Gervonta Davis, not being followed by immediate laughter, it's insane. You needed 12 rounds to put away an over-the-hill fighter standing on one good leg for most of the fight. You needed 12 rounds for that guy.
12 rounds.
But you're gonna stop Lomachenko and his 2 good legs in 9 or 10.
Huh?
And you expect people to believe this. Whatever the fuck ever, man. Whatever. Just, go fight some other little guy and sell somebody else that bridge. Because we're not buying it round here.